Hey, Michael Leckie here. Normally, my career Ask Me Anything would be myself and my intrepid partner, Mark Bowden, whom you all know. But there was a couple of things that just happened this week, which I'm sure that at least a couple of you have become aware of, at least if you live in the United States, which was our current sitting president, Joe Biden, has decided to not pursue re-election and is endorsing his vice president, Kamala Harris. Now, career Ask Me Anything and discussing politics without Mark, that seems like a double whammy. But we thought we'd give a couple a try here because Mark is traveling right now, and I'm sure he'll want to weigh in given his real length and expertise in the political side. But what the questions that were coming in about Kamala Harris stepping up made me think of were questions around assumption of leadership or when you have to step into a leadership role, especially if it's somewhat sudden and brand new. Because she's been the vice president for a long time, but she's not been the presidential candidate. So today we're going to do a little Ask Me Anything, just Michael Leckie's solo version here, talking about what's happening currently in the news with President Biden stepping aside from the race. So one of the first questions that came in here is, how can Kamala Harris quickly establish herself as a strong, independent leader while still honoring Biden's legacy? So let's just pull that away from the two of them and talk in general for a minute about how can you establish yourself as a strong and independent leader while honoring the legacy of the person that came before you. A couple of thoughts come to mind. The first one is, well, make sure you have a legacy to honor. Now, in this case, I think she does. That's my opinion. I guess to what side of the political spectrum you're on depends on you, but I think she will as well. And so make sure you have a legacy to honor. If you've worked for someone, in this case she has, and that person is now stepping aside and you're stepping in, you do want to honor that legacy because probably that person has a lot of people that have followed them and benefited from their leadership. And they're going to be wondering, okay, what do you bring to the table? Are you going to be better? Are you going to have something different? And so the two things you need to do, I think, one is you do need to fairly quickly establish what your leadership is all about. So you need to go into a new leadership position knowing what your values are, knowing what you stand for, and knowing what you're trying to accomplish. You don't necessarily have to draw any distinction from your predecessor when you're doing that. You just have to know who you are. Now, naturally, some of those things are probably going to fit your predecessor if you worked for that person and were a part of their team. And I think they will in this case for Kamala Harris. Then you also have to be able to say who it is you are and what it is you're doing now. I don't necessarily say different. I don't think you have to differentiate. You just have to talk about what you're focused on. There's really no point in differentiating yourself from the previous person unless for some reason you're vying for the job and don't already have it, which in this case, she kind of is. She's vying for the nomination, although it's strong. And she needs to establish who she is independently. So I wouldn't spend my time with the past except for thanking that person. And when there's something that ties into what they did or where they had an impact on you, remembering that, honoring that, thanking them for that, noting that, and then moving into it, who it is you are, what it is you stand for, and what it is you want to accomplish. The rest of the details about how you lead can emerge over time as you work with the people around you. But I think when you are assuming leadership, you need to honor the past, assuming it's a good past, by thanking that person and acknowledging where they've influenced you, but then be really clear on, again, who you are, what you stand for, and what it is you're trying to accomplish. Thanks for joining for a little brief career Ask Me Anything with just Michael today. We'll see you soon, and we'll also have Mark Bowden back on with us in the very near future. Take care. Bye-bye.